Hi, my name is Danielle Anderson, and I'm the Wellness Specialist for Deer Valley. This webinar-style presentation is all about athlete nutrition. Specifically, we will discuss choosing the right foods to fuel the activities you want to participate in. Most likely you've heard the saying, you are what you eat. Basically, if you want to be a better athlete, if you want to perform at the highest levels with strength, endurance, and stamina, you have to eat as if that is your goal. If you listen to any professional athlete speak on how they prepare for their sport, chances are you will hear them speak on how important nutrition is to their performance. So let's begin with breakfast and lunch. Why do we always hear about breakfast being the most important meal of the day? During sleep, our body is technically in a fasting mode. Before expecting your body to function in any real way, it is necessary to feed your body, preferably with carbs and protein. We'll talk more about carbohydrates and protein later. For now, know that carbs give us energy, like whole wheat bread, cereals, fruits, and proteins like eggs, yogurt, and milk helps muscles grow. So some examples of easy breakfast meals are overnight oats, especially if you have limited time in the morning. All you have to do is add dry oats, nuts, seeds, milk, and fruit, and then let it sit in the fridge overnight. No need to cook at all. Another great option is whole grain toast with avocado and garbanzo beans mashed on top. You can add sunflower seeds and cut up tomatoes. You can have smoothies with fruits, veggies, yogurt, nuts, and seeds, or an egg sandwich on whole grain bread. All of these options provide really great sources of carb and protein combos. And now let's talk about lunch. Many students compete directly after school. This makes eating lunch even more critical in that it is responsible for providing the essential fuel needed for competition. How many of you have skipped lunch on game days? Some young athletes falsely believe that a light lunch or no lunch is a good idea, but keep in mind if your body doesn't have the fuel it needs, you will not be able to perform at the level you want. Even if nerves have left you with no appetite, try to avoid skipping lunch. Find something to fuel your body. In addition to eating a smart breakfast and lunch, eating snacks throughout the day allows for maintenance of energy levels and increases the opportunity for the intake of nutrients, including very necessary vitamins and minerals to perform at your best. Examples are granola, apples and peanut butter, trail mix, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, veggies, hummus. All of these things, if you are eating consistently, enable you to avoid a very large meal prior to competition if you eat often. So now we will focus on carbohydrates for energy. Maybe you've heard that carbohydrates have a bad reputation, but that's not completely accurate, and it's for a couple of reasons. We have already talked about how our bodies require carbohydrates for energy. Carbs are also brain food. They are our brain's most desired source of energy. When we avoid carbs, we force our body to adapt. We make it turn other food sources into glucose so that our brains can use the glucose the same way it does when it breaks down carbs. This is how our bodies protect the brain during times of starvation. However, this adaptation is not sustainable. Our bodies are not designed to do this long term. Our bodies require each of the macronutrients, carbs, proteins, and fats, to function properly. And one of the major functions that we especially care about as athletes of carbohydrates is to provide our bodies with energy. So carbohydrates basically can be split into simple and complex. Simple carbs like fruits can be broken down easily by the body for quick energy. Complex carbs take a little bit of time to be digested, which spreads out the release of energy over time. Some examples of complex carbs are oatmeal, brown rice, sweet potatoes. Choosing whole grains, veggies, and fruits provides strong carb choices because in addition to energy, they also provide all kinds of vitamins and minerals. Lastly, it is important to generally limit and especially avoid the carbohydrates listed on the right-hand side. This is especially true for game and meet days, but really on practice days as well if you are serious about your sport. So not only can consuming these types of foods cause an undesirable dip in energy, if excessively consumed, they can lead to fat storage, consistently low energy levels, and even chronic diseases. And one really important thing to keep in mind about carbs when it comes to grain choices is that whole grains will always be the better choice as they still have vitamins and minerals. The refined grains, as shown in the picture, ones that are in white breads and white rice, have had most of their nutritional value stripped off of them in processing. And now let's look at spreading out protein throughout the day. Why is protein important? We know that muscles love protein. It is important to spread out protein throughout the day, have some at snacks and some at meals, but there is absolutely no need to consume an excess amount of protein or even use protein supplements. Not only can your body only consume so much at a given time, many protein-packed products are highly processed and full of sugars. Instead, choose whole foods, nuts, hummus, yogurt as a snack, have an egg with breakfast, have some tuna for lunch. Many people are over-consuming protein and under-consuming carbohydrates. Try to find a healthy balance. Next, let's look at fatty foods. Fat isn't bad in general, but depending on the types of fatty foods chosen, some are definitely better than others. When fatty foods are being digested, especially the greasy fried foods and fatty desserts like those seen in the top right-hand picture, some of your body systems are awfully busy in those digestion processes. And for an athlete at a competition or in the middle of an intense workout, that might cause feelings of sluggishness and sleepiness and even cause an upset stomach. Since fat is a necessity, some vitamins actually require fat consumption to be absorbed. Don't avoid it altogether. Keep fat intake before practice and competition on the lighter end, and make smart choices about the types of fatty foods you are consuming. So in the right-hand picture at the bottom, you can see some peanut butter and some olives and some avocado, some coconut. Those are all good fats. So when should we eat? The timing of when you eat is just as important as deciding what to eat. And this is exactly why lunch and breakfast on game days can be so critical. So eating before. Your body needs 2 to 3 hours to digest a regular meal. Eat hearty at lunch, but there is no need to overeat. Make sure you feel satisfied and that you are not still hungry when finished with the meal. Small snacks like fruit and nuts are suggested for the bus ride to competitions, but the closer you get to competition time, the later the snacks should get. Eating after. Small snacks of protein and carbohydrates are suggested shortly after practice and competition, somewhere within an hour, to help aid in recovery. Carbohydrates help refill your fuel, so to speak, and replenish your used energy, while protein will help to strengthen and rebuild your muscles. It's a good idea to choose snacks with a carb-protein ratio between 2 to 1 and 4 to 1. Some strong post-competition snacks are chocolate milk, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, fruit and yogurt, nuts and cheese with pretzel sticks. Lastly, keep in mind it is generally a bad idea to try out a new food on the day of competition. Next, we're going to look at hydration. Adequate hydration is just as important as the food choices you make when it comes to competing, and consistent hydration is key. Be sure to hydrate before, during, and after competition, and during competition you want to avoid to drink a whole bunch at one time. Instead, try to space it out with little tiny sips. Also, keep in mind that sports drinks are only recommended for endurance sport athletes, and those are the sports that require continuous exertion for longer than an hour. Lastly, check your urine output for your hydration status. So, checking the color of your urine might seem a little awkward at first, but it is the easiest and fastest way to keep tabs on your hydration. Keeping a water bottle with ounces marked is also helpful to stay hydrated. Carry your water wherever you go, basically. And most schools do allow water bottles, but check with the school's guidelines to be sure. Also, many labs won't allow drinks of any kind, so be sure that you are clear on individual classroom rules too. Lastly, keep in mind that some vitamins, especially B vitamins, may change the color of your urine. So if you're using this urine scale to try to determine how hydrated you are, know that some vitamins may alter the look ultimately. Because most sports require quick and constant decision making, it may be interesting to see how food impacts the brain and then also the body. Watch this short TED Ed video about the impact of your food choices. So how do you know what to believe when it comes to nutrition? Nutrition is one of those topics that everyone has an opinion on because, well, everyone eats. Just because someone follows some quirky diet doesn't mean their results will be your results. Most diet fads are not sustainable, and this means that immediate results don't equal long-term results. Be careful when you read articles online or share random social media posts. A good way to check is to ask yourself the following questions. Is the information from a reputable source? Meaning, does the site end in .edu or .gov or .org? Does the site provide evidence-based nutrition resources without trying to also sell a product or a program? Does the information provided seem too good to be true? Does the information provided similar details as those found in this presentation? Basically, if the answer is no to any of these questions, you're going to want to check with your coach or the district dietitian before changing any behaviors. The next 3 slides will cover some reliable nutrition resources to help you out. This first group of resources are all provided by the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, and it can be found in their athlete nutrition section. Each link provides further information about the specific topic, and some of which are easily printable PDFs to provide to athletes and parents. One important area for discussion is eating disorders. Unfortunately, eating disorders often coincide with certain athletic competitions. It is incredibly important for athletes and coaches to be aware of this prevalence. Student athletes first need to understand how integral proper nutrition is to their success as an athlete, especially in the long term. Additionally, students need to be aware of how detrimental eating disorders can be and how they impact the body and the mind. A separate presentation has been designed by Deer Valley detailing eating disorders and their behaviors. It can be found on the DVUSD website under the chef hat and under the wellness resources. One last point to make is that the female athlete triad is now considered to be part of the relative energy deficiency in sports. And so all that means is it's more of a collective which discusses eating disorders in both male and female athletes. This next group of resources comes from SCAN. SCAN is a dietetic practice group of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, and SCAN stands for Sports, Cardiovascular, and Wellness Nutrition. Again, each of these links provided are based on evidence-supported nutrition, and the handouts are in PDF form and can be easily printed out by coaches to give to their teams. Lastly, Deer Valley also has resources specifically designed for student-athlete nutrition. Quick tip sheets that are available as printable handouts are available on DVUSD's website underneath the chef hat. Just click on Student-Athlete Nutrition. If you have any questions, please contact the Food and Nutrition Department. Nota Dassenbrock is our food coordinator and also our registered dietitian. And my name is Danielle Anderson, and I'm Deer Valley's Wellness Specialist. Thank you.